The day my husband and I walked into that therapist's office for our follow-up session was the day everything finally made sense. But what led us there? It started 6 months earlier, when our therapist gave us an assignment so bizarre, so unconventional, that I was convinced it would destroy our marriage forever. I never imagined it would save us both. My name is Jessica. I'm 34 years old, and I need to tell you about the night everything changed. Picture this: an upscale restaurant in downtown Manhattan, crystal chandeliers, the city's elite dining on plates that cost more than our monthly grocery bill. My husband Marcus, a rising star in corporate finance, was supposed to be closing the biggest deal of his career. Instead, I got a call from his colleague at 9 p.m. Marcus was locked in the bathroom, hyperventilating, unable to breathe. When I arrived, I found him on the floor, his tie loosened, his perfectly pressed suit wrinkled, tears streaming down his face. This man, who never cried, who prided himself on being unshakable, was completely broken. That moment in the restaurant bathroom wasn't just a panic attack. It was the culmination of years of pressure, of performance, of pretending to be someone he thought he had to be. And what happened next, the journey we embarked on together, would challenge everything I thought I knew about my husband, about masculinity, about love itself. Let me take you back to the beginning, to before that restaurant bathroom, to when I first started noticing the cracks in Marcus's armor. Marcus and I had been married for 7 years. We met in college, fell in love over late-night study sessions, and dreams about the future. He was always ambitious, always driven, but there was a lightness to him back then. He'd laugh easily, make terrible jokes, surprise me with handwritten notes hidden in my textbooks. The Marcus I married had joy in his eyes, but somewhere along the way, that light dimmed. It started slowly, so gradually that I didn't notice at first. Marcus landed a position at one of Manhattan's top financial firms 3 years into our marriage. It was his dream job, the culmination of everything he'd worked for. His father, a retired Marine Corps colonel, called to congratulate him with rare approval in his voice. "Now you're becoming a real man," he'd said. "Someone who can provide, who can lead." Marcus took those words to heart. Maybe too much. The 60-hour work weeks became 70, then 80. He'd leave before I woke up and return long after I'd gone to bed. When he was home, he wasn't really present. His eyes would glaze over during dinner, his mind clearly still at the office, running through spreadsheets and client presentations. I'd try to reach him, to pull him back to me, but he'd just smile that tight, tired smile and say, "I'm fine, Jess, just a busy season, it'll calm down soon." It never did. I tried everything. I suggested he take vacation days. He said he couldn't, that the team needed him. I offered to go to couples therapy. He said we didn't need it, that therapy was for people with real problems. I even tried planning romantic weekends away, thinking, maybe if we could just escape, just breathe together away from the city, he'd come back to me. But Marcus was drowning, and he refused to admit he was even in the water. His father's voice, that constant echo from his childhood, seemed to get louder the worse things got. "Men don't break, Marcus," his father would tell him. "We bear the weight. That's what makes us strong." So Marcus bore the weight, all of it, until he couldn't anymore. The panic attacks started about 4 months before that fateful dinner. The first one happened at the office. Marcus's assistant called me, worried because he'd been in his office with the door locked for over an hour, not responding to knocks. When he finally emerged, he brushed it off as food poisoning. But I saw the terror in his eyes. The attacks became more frequent. "Marcus, please," I begged after that dinner. "Something is wrong. You need help. We need help." I said I'm fine, he snapped, and immediately his face crumpled with guilt. He never snapped at me. I'm sorry, Jess. I just need to push through this quarter. Once this deal closes, everything will be better." But I knew it wouldn't be. This wasn't about one deal or one quarter. This was about something deeper, something Marcus couldn't or wouldn't name. Then came that night at the restaurant. Marcus had been preparing for this client dinner for weeks. It was the culmination of an 18-month pitch to land a massive international investment firm as a client. If he closed this deal, he'd be up for partner. It was everything he'd been working toward, everything his father would finally, truly be proud of. I helped him get ready that evening. He stood in front of our bedroom mirror, adjusting his tie for the 5th time. I noticed his hands trembling as he worked the silk into a perfect Windsor knot. "You're going to be amazing," I told him, straightening his collar. "They'd be crazy not to sign with you." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Thanks, Jess. I just need to get through tonight." Those words haunted me later. Get through tonight. Not celebrate tonight. Not enjoy tonight. Just survive it. The call came at 9:47 p.m. I was curled up on the couch with a book when Marcus's colleague Brian's name flashed on my phone screen. My stomach immediately knotted. "Jessica, don't panic, but you need to come to Aurelio's right now," Brian said, his voice tight with worry. It's Marcus. He's not okay. I was in a cab within 3 minutes, my heart hammering the entire 15-minute drive. Brian met me at the restaurant entrance, his face grave. He's in the men's room. He's been in there for 40 minutes. He won't come out, and when I tried to talk to him through the door, he was hyperventilating so badly I could barely understand him. The clients had left, Brian explained as we rushed through the restaurant. The dinner had been going well. Marcus was charming and confident, making his pitch perfectly. Then, right as they were about to sign the contract, Marcus's hand froze over the paper. His face went white. He excused himself to the restroom and never came back. I knocked on the bathroom door, my voice gentle. Marcus, honey, it's me. Can you open the door? Silence. Then, so quietly I almost missed it. I can't, Jess. I can't do this anymore. With the restaurant manager's help, we got the door open. The sight of Marcus on that bathroom floor will stay with me forever. This man who commanded boardrooms, who stood 6 feet tall with the confidence of someone who'd never failed at anything, was curled up against the wall, his expensive suit wrinkled, his tie hanging loose, sweat on his face. He was gasping for air like a drowning man. I dropped to my knees beside him, pulling him into my arms. Breathe with me, Marcus. In through your nose, out through your mouth. I've got you. You're safe. Just breathe with me. It took 20 minutes to get him calm enough to stand. Brian had called us a car, and mercifully the clients had been understanding, if confused. As we rode home in silence, Marcus staring out the window with hollow eyes, I made a decision. We're seeing a therapist, I said firmly. First thing Monday morning. I don't care if you think we need it or not. I don't care what your father would say. This ends now, Marcus. I can't watch you destroy yourself anymore. For once, he didn't argue. He just nodded, his hand finding mine in the dark of the car. Okay? He whispered. Okay? That weekend was the longest of my life. Marcus barely spoke, barely moved from the couch. He'd called in sick to work for the first time in 3 years, and the guilt of that clearly weighed on him. But underneath the guilt, I sensed something else. Relief, maybe. Like some part of him was grateful the pretense was finally over. Monday morning, I called every therapist in Manhattan. Most were booked months out, but I finally found Dr. Sarah Keller, a couples therapist in Brooklyn who'd had a cancellation. She could see us that Wednesday. When I told Marcus, he looked up from where he sat on the couch, still in his pajamas at 2 p.m. What if she can't help us, Jess? What if I'm just broken? Then we figure it out together, I said, sitting beside him. But you're not broken, Marcus. You're human. You're allowed to be human. He leaned his head on my shoulder, and I felt the weight of all those years, all that pressure, all that pretending, pressing down on both of us. Something had to give. I just had no idea what that something would be. Dr. Sarah Keller's office was nothing like I expected. Instead of the sterile, clinical space I'd imagined, we walked into a warmly lit brownstone in Park Slope. The therapy room had floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, comfortable oversized chairs, and plants everywhere. Soft instrumental music played from hidden speakers. It felt safe, somehow, like a place where you could finally exhale. Dr. Keller herself was in her early 50s, with kind gray eyes and an air of calm competence. She didn't rush us, didn't immediately start asking probing questions. Instead, she offered us tea and let us settle into the space before beginning. So, she said gently, looking between us, "Tell me what brought you here." Marcus looked at me, panic flashing in his eyes, so I started. I told her about the panic attacks, the work stress, the restaurant incident. As I spoke, I watched Marcus shrink further into his chair. When I finished, Dr. Keller turned to Marcus. "And what would you like to add?" Marcus was quiet for a long moment, then, voice barely above a whisper, "I don't know who I am anymore. Or maybe I never knew, and I'm just realizing it now." Over the next few sessions, the story emerged. Dr. Keller was patient, skillful, coaxing out details Marcus had never shared with me. Most significantly, she learned about the secret Marcus had been keeping from everyone, including himself. Then Dr. Keller made an observation that changed everything. "Marcus," she said carefully, "I've noticed something in our conversations. You've mentioned several times, almost in passing, that you enjoy certain things that bring you comfort. You said you love the smell of your wife's perfume, that sometimes when she's at work, you spray it in the bathroom because it calms you. You mentioned that you find yourself drawn to the beauty section when you're in stores, that the textures and colors of makeup palettes relax you in a way nothing else does. You said you watch beauty tutorials sometimes late at night when you can't sleep." Marcus's face flushed red. He looked like he wanted to disappear into the chair. "I didn't think anyone noticed. It's stupid, I know. I don't know why I do those things." "It's not stupid at all," Dr. Keller said firmly. Dr. Keller leaned forward. "Marcus, I'm going to share something with you. The stress you're experiencing, the panic attacks, the feeling of drowning under pressure, I don't think work is causing that. I think work is giving you an excuse to avoid something much deeper. I don't understand, Marcus said. You've spent your entire life performing masculinity like it's a role you're terrified to mess up. Every day, you wake up and put on a costume of who you think you should be, based on your father's expectations, society's expectations, your own internalized beliefs about what makes someone a man. That kind of constant performance is exhausting, it's unsustainable, and your body and mind are finally saying enough. The room fell silent. I could hear my own heartbeat, could see Marcus's chest rising and falling rapidly as he processed her words. Then Dr. Keller said something that made my blood run cold. Marcus, I'm going to give you an assignment, and I need you to trust me on this. I want you to stop performing for a while. I want you to spend time exploring the parts of yourself that you've been told are wrong, that terrify you, because they feel feminine. I want you to give yourself permission to engage with those interests you've been hiding, to see what happens when you stop pushing them away. She turned to me. Jessica, your job is to support him through this, no matter what that looks like. This is going to be challenging for both of you. You're both going to have to confront your own assumptions about gender, masculinity, and what it means to be yourselves. I opened my mouth to respond, but I couldn't find words. Was she suggesting what I thought she was suggesting? This felt like dangerous territory, like we were about to open a door that couldn't be closed. Marcus looked at me, fear and hope warring in his expression. Jess? I took his hand, my mind racing. This wasn't what I'd expected when I booked therapy. I thought we'd talk about stress management, maybe work-life balance, communication strategies. Not this. Not my husband exploring femininity. But as I looked at him, really looked at him, I saw something I hadn't seen in years. Possibility. The faint glimmer of that light I'd fallen in love with, flickering back to life. Okay, I heard myself say. Okay, we'll try. The first week after that session, Marcus came home from work to find me painting my nails at the kitchen table. He stopped in the doorway, still in his suit, his briefcase in hand, just watching me. That color is nice, he said quietly. Rose quartz, I answered, holding up the bottle. It's subtle, but pretty. He stood there another moment, then set down his briefcase. Could we? Would you think I'm crazy if I asked to try? My heart squeezed. He looked so vulnerable, so afraid of my reaction. No, you're not crazy. We sat at the kitchen table in our apartment, the city lights twinkling through the window, and I painted my husband's nails for the first time. His hands shook as he extended them to me. I kept my movements gentle, careful, creating a space that felt safe. I painted slowly, giving him time to adjust. When I finished, he held his hands up, studying his nails in the light. Rose quartz, subtle and pretty, exactly what he'd called it. We sat there until the polish dried, him occasionally looking down at his nails with wonder and fear, in equal measure. When we went to bed that night, he kept his hands visible above the covers, like he needed to prove to himself it was real. Over the next few weeks, we expanded slowly. Marcus asked if he could try one of my face masks. I set it up like a spa night, lighting candles, putting on soft music. We sat on the couch with cucumber slices on our eyes, and I heard him sigh with contentment. Why does this feel so relaxing? He wondered aloud. Why is letting myself be soft so terrifying and comforting at the same time? Because you've never let yourself be soft before, I said. You've spent your whole life being hard, being tough, being what your father thought you should be. This is new territory. He reached over and found my hand without removing his cucumber slices. Thank you for not thinking I'm weird. I don't think you're weird. I think you're brave. Our next session with Dr. Keller came 3 weeks into our experiment. Marcus looked different walking into her office. He carried himself with less tension, his movements more natural. Dr. Keller noticed immediately. You look well, Marcus, she observed. How have the last few weeks been? Marcus glanced at me, then back at her. Better. Confusing, but better. Jessica's been amazing. We've been trying things, small things. Nail polish at home, skincare routines. I like them. She turned to me. Jessica, how are you handling this? I considered the question carefully. I'm trying to be supportive, but I'm also confronting my own biases. I realized I had assumptions about my husband, about masculinity, about what our marriage would look like. Watching Marcus explore these things is making me examine all of that. We left that session with a new assignment. Dr. Keller wanted Marcus to journal about what specifically brought him joy and comfort in his exploration. That night, Marcus wrote for 2 hours. When he finally closed his journal, he turned to me. Jess, thanks for supporting me. My stomach tightened. I finally seeing my husband being happy. The next phase of Marcus's exploration started tentatively. One Saturday afternoon, when we had the apartment to ourselves, Marcus asked if he could try on one of my dresses. "I just want to see," he said. "I want to know how it feels." I pulled out a simple black dress, stretchy enough to accommodate his frame. Marcus took it into the bedroom and closed the door. I waited on the couch, my heart pounding. What would I feel when I saw him? Would I recognize my husband? Would I still be attracted to him? These questions terrified me, but I knew I had to face them. When the bedroom door opened, Marcus stood in the doorway, wearing my dress, his face flushed with wonder, but seeing him in it did something to me. He looked vulnerable, and brave, and entirely himself. Over the next weeks, the experimentation continued, and deepened. Marcus started watching makeup tutorials obsessively, studying techniques, learning about products. He'd come to me with questions. What's the difference between foundation and concealer? How do you get eyeliner to look symmetrical? Why are there so many types of brushes? I became his teacher, showing him what I knew. We'd sit at my vanity together, me demonstrating on my own face while he practiced on his. One evening, after a particularly successful makeup session, Marcus turned to me with serious eyes. "Jess, what if this isn't just therapy anymore? What if this is actually who I am?" The question hung between us, heavy with implications. If this was who Marcus truly was, what did that mean for us? For our marriage? For our future? Can we figure out what that means? I said carefully. Together. He took my hand, his eyes, still wearing the eyeshadow we'd practiced that evening. "I think I need to go further. I think I need to see what it's like to really embrace this part of myself, not just in our apartment at night, but out in the world." "What are you saying?" "There's a charity gala for my firm next month. It's a big event, black tie, all the partners and major clients. I've been thinking about it, and I want to go. But Jess, I want to go as myself, the new me I've been discovering. I want to wear a gown, do my makeup, really present as the person I'm becoming." My immediate reaction was panic. The professional consequences alone could be devastating. Marcus's firm was traditional, conservative. Showing up to a company gala in a gown would be beyond bold. It would be career-defining. People would talk. There would be judgment, maybe even retaliation. But when I looked at Marcus, I saw determination I hadn't seen in years. Not the desperate, grinding determination that had led to panic attacks and breakdowns. This was different. This was the determination of someone who decided to stop hiding, consequences be damned. "That's a big step," I said carefully. "Are you sure? Have you thought about the professional implications?" "I've thought about nothing else for 3 days," Marcus admitted. "And here's what I realized. I've spent 36 years living small, Jess, living according to what other people think I should be. Society's expectations, my own internalized rules about who I'm allowed to be. I'm done. I'm done being small. I'm done pretending." His courage awed me. This was the man I'd married, the one who'd been buried under years of performance and pressure. "Okay," I said, "then let's do this right. Let's find you the perfect gown." Finding the right dress became our mission. We spent hours online, Marcus scrolling through formal gown websites with an intensity he'd previously reserved for financial reports. He saved dozens of options, creating mood boards, studying silhouettes and fabrics. "I want something elegant but dramatic," he explained, showing me his favorites. "Something that feels timeless, not costume. Something that feels like me." We visited boutiques across Manhattan and Brooklyn. Nothing felt quite right until we walked into a high-end formal wear boutique in Soho. The dress was displayed on a mannequin in the window, and Marcus stopped dead in his tracks when he saw it. It was an off-the-shoulder ball gown in dense black fabric, but the fabric was unlike anything I'd seen. It had thousands of multicolored glitter specks woven into it that caught the light like stars in a night sky. The bodice was structured and fitted, with a sweetheart neckline and gently folded off-shoulder sleeves. The waist was cinched, then flowed into an extraordinary voluminous floor-length skirt, heavily pleated with architectural fullness. The skirt was wide and bell-shaped, creating a regal silhouette that looked like it belonged on a runway. "That's it," Marcus breathed. "Jess, that's the one." The boutique owner, an elegant woman named Simone, approached us. "Beautiful choice. Would you like to try it on?" Marcus hesitated, glancing at me. I nodded encouragingly. We bought the dress that day, along with appropriate undergarments and shapewear. Marcus could barely stop looking at the garment bag as we carried it home. That evening, he hung it in our closet and just stood there, staring at it like it was a portal to another world. "I'm really doing this," he said, half to himself. "I'm really going to walk into that gala in this dress." "You are," I confirmed, "and you're going to be magnificent. The month leading up to the gala was intense. Marcus threw himself into preparation with the same dedication he'd once given to client presentations. He practiced walking in heels. We did countless makeup trials, refining his technique. Throughout all of this, I watched my husband transform. Not just physically, though that was remarkable, but emotionally, psychologically. The panic attacks had stopped completely. He'd negotiated with his firm to reduce his hours to a more reasonable 50 per week. And surprisingly, they'd agreed. His work performance had actually improved. That night, the night before the gala, Marcus and I lay in bed together, neither of us sleeping. His hand found mine in the dark. "Thank you," he whispered. "For what?" "For not running, for staying, for seeing me." I turned toward him, our faces close on the pillows. "I married your soul, Marcus, not your costume. Tomorrow night, everyone else will finally see what I've been seeing these past months. The real you. What if the real me isn't good enough? The real you have always been good enough. You just needed to believe it." The evening of the gala arrived. We'd planned everything meticulously, timing out each step of Marcus's transformation. We started early, at 4 p.m. for an 8 p.m. event, wanting to ensure nothing felt rushed. Marcus showered, then we began. I helped him with the shapewear first, then the structured undergarments that would help the gown fit properly. Already I could see the anticipation building in his face, mixed with curiosity. Next came the makeup. Marcus sat at my vanity, and I guided him through each step, but he did most of it himself. Foundation blended smoothly over his skin. Concealer hiding any imperfections. Soft contour, defining his features. We kept the eye makeup subtle but defined, enough to make his eyes pop without being overdone. Defined brows framed his face. The muted rose lip completed the look. When he was finished, he stared at his reflection for a long moment. "I look like me," he said, voice thick with emotion. "Not like I'm in drag, not like I'm in costume, just me." Hair came next. We'd practiced the updo so many times that his hands moved with confidence now. He smoothed his hair back into the low, elegant style we'd perfected, securing it carefully. The finished look was sophisticated and timeless. Finally, the dress. I helped him step into it carefully, mindful of the makeup and hair we'd just perfected. As I pulled the gown up and began fastening it, I watched Marcus's face in the mirror. His eyes were closed, his breathing deep and controlled. When the dress was fully on, fitted and perfect, he opened his eyes. The transformation was complete. The man standing in our bedroom bore little physical resemblance to the one who'd had a panic attack in a restaurant bathroom 4 months ago. But emotionally, spiritually, this was the Marcus who'd existed underneath all along. The galaxy-like shimmer of the gown caught every movement. The architectural skirt created a dramatic silhouette. The off-shoulder design was elegant and timeless. "Oh my God," Marcus breathed. "Oh my God, Jess. You're beautiful," I said, and I meant it. Not in a patronizing way, not in a way that was just supportive. He genuinely looked beautiful. Stunning. Like he'd stepped out of a high-fashion magazine. The heels were last. The 4-inch black stilettos that he'd practiced in for weeks. He slipped them on with surprising grace, then stood to full height. The total effect was breathtaking. Marcus walked to our full-length mirror, staring at his reflection with wonder and disbelief and joy all mixed together. He turned slowly, watching how the skirt moved, how the light played across the glittering fabric. "This is really happening," he said. "I'm really going to do this." "You're really going to do this," I confirmed. Then, 10 minutes before the car was scheduled to arrive, the panic hit. Marcus sat down heavily on our bed, his breathing rapid, his hands shaking. "I can't," he gasped. "Jess, I can't do this." "You can do this," I said firmly. He closed his eyes, breathing deeply. When he opened them again, there was steel there, transformed. This wasn't desperate determination to maintain a facade. This was determination to finally be real. "You're right," he said. "I've spent 36 years living small. I'm done. Let's do this." The car arrived. As we rode through Manhattan toward the venue, Marcus was quiet, staring out the window at the city lights. I held his hand, both of us in our formal wear, both of us heading toward a moment that would change everything. "No matter what happens tonight," I said as we approached the venue, "I'm proud of you. And I love you, exactly as you are." He squeezed my hand. "I love you too. Thank you for seeing me." As I reflect on the journey Marcus and I have taken over these past several months, I'm struck by how wrong my initial assumptions were. When Dr. Keller first suggested that Marcus explore his feminine interests, I thought we were entering dangerous territory. I thought we were opening a door that would destroy our marriage, that would make me lose my husband forever. Instead, I found him. Real him. The Marcus who'd been buried under decades of performance and pressure and fear. Our relationship has deepened in ways I didn't know were possible. We talk more honestly now. There are no secrets, no performances, no pretending. When Marcus is stressed, he tells me. When he needs space to explore different aspects of himself, he asks for it. When I'm struggling with my own biases or fears, I share them. We've built a marriage based on truth instead of expectations. The gala was a turning point, yes, but it wasn't the end of the journey. It was more like a public declaration that Marcus was done hiding, done living small, done pretending. The real work has been in the daily choices since then. The choice to be honest about his needs. The choice to set boundaries at work. The choice to embrace all parts of himself instead of just the ones society deems acceptable. If Marcus's story resonated with you, if you see yourself or someone you love struggling under the weight of expectations that don't fit, I encourage you to seek support. Find a therapist who understands that authenticity looks different for everyone. Build relationships with people who can love you for who you truly are, not who you pretend to be. Give yourself permission to explore the parts of yourself you've been told to hide. The journey won't be easy. There will be people who don't understand, who judge, who reject you. But there will also be people who celebrate your courage, who see you for who you really are, who love you more authentically, because you've given them your authentic self to love. Marcus would want you to know, you're not broken, you're not wrong, you're not too much or not enough. You're exactly who you're supposed to be, and the world needs your authentic self more than it needs another performance. From stress to spotlight, from hiding to being seen, from dying slowly to really living. This is what happens when you finally give yourself permission to be real. Thank you for letting me share our story. I hope it helps someone out there who needs to hear it.
The Gender Diary exists to light that path with shared stories. Whether you found connection in this narrative, you're on your own journey of gender exploration, or you're here seeking understanding, your subscription fuels our mission. Every subscriber empowers us to keep illuminating these authentic experiences for our community. Kindly drop a comment below. Your voice adds to the tapestry of experiences that makes this space meaningful. Until our next story unfolds.